Hello and welcome to the Riversdale Community Garden. It's the middle of May, so closing in on winter in Southland, and you can see we've got a pretty lush bit of biodiversity going on. Mostly we want to talk about this zone, the Polyculture Paddock area, but I'll just give a quick tour before we go. So we've just finished our second season on this paddock, and what we've got going on here, 4 raised beds. We scraped off the dirt, mounded it up, got some compost on, and yeah, you can see there's tomatoes still growing. There's been a bumper harvest. We've got silver beet in the background, and there's been a variety of leafy greens and radish, and some other goodies have come up from here. Another big win from the season is this tank. So we had to get a bore drilled, and yeah, really it's just feeding up. All of these were donated from the community. Yeah, we've got a 2,000 litres of water just sitting here, and this feeds a tank this way. It's set up so we can irrigate the larger zone next season. So we will get back to that, and as we develop this, we'll create some more content around that. But I mostly just wanted to talk about the Polyculture Paddock and how we've been able to implement it here. So it was designed on the farm, of course, and initially for this rural use. But this is just a perfect example of its use case in an urban setting or in a public park, you know. So we had this area, so far there's only a very small group of us, and expecting it to grow as time goes on. But while it's just us, it's like, how do we manage half an acre with very little, you know, capacity for input? And so Polyculture Paddock has just been a dream. And so through here, we can just see what's happened. And this was sown in December. And so we've still got these lovely flowers, and a couple ladies from the community have messaged and said, hey, can we use these for, they're doing dried flowers. And of course, just the rest of the harvest has been available. Some of the species in here, these sunflowers in particular, they were foraged and given to us, so that went in, and the rest here came from King Seeds, the champions of seed procurement in New Zealand. And so we've got this coriander's come up. It's like, there's a lot of coriander. Sometimes it's not such an easy plant to grow, but it's grown very well in this method. And so these seeds are all, if anyone wanted to come and make a coriander seed dish, you know, there's more than you could possibly want. The borage is a huge winner, and we'll carry on walking around. But you can just see how different this is to the amount even that we had to put into the raised beds. Was, you know, not like daily maintenance or anything just yet, but we did put a lot more work in than any of this area, and yet we can see there's nasturtiums and all this life, and the sunflowers have been booming, and people have been taking heads, and so it's just such a, you know, diversity of plant species, and again, this is mid almost winter in Southland. There's been some interesting ones, these poppies coming through. There's a corn plant in here, maize, obviously that's just a little seedling. Some of them have grown larger. In the back you can see a few. And right now we're getting a second flush of all the leafy greens. So in mid-January there was an unlimited harvest of salads for anyone that wanted it in here. And right now in May, we're getting a second flush, and I don't know if these are ones that have been harvested and growing again, or if it's because we let stuff go to seed and that just the seed bed is so rich with mescaline mix as a result of that. But in any case, it's grown again, and if we had like 100 people needed salads tomorrow, then we'd come and harvest it, we'd have that capacity. So the goals in here have been many-fold. Production, one of them, of course. You know, we've got the lettuces, we've had the radishes and carrots. If you dig around, you find them. But it's also just about beautification. And so we're right here on the corner of the main street of Riversdale, and all of a sudden people enter the town and there's just this sense of vitality that something's going on. And often when you drive through a rural township, that can be lacking. So it's been cool, and it's also just been this great example of regenerative agriculture for all to see. And so I've been in here, and it's as though you can see how many people are witnessing this on a daily basis. But yeah, I've been in here and it's been completely alive. The bees were loving this place, and you know, the borage really attracts the bees, and it's been a bit of a kingpin through here. But there's so many different flowers, and through the different stages, because we've got early flowering, early seeding, different harvest dates, all mixed in together, we've had different stages, and there's always been something for that insect life to thrive on. And so now we'll just take a deeper look down at the ground floor, really at what is here. So we've got an example of these radishes. You know, that's probably a little past eating, but that's how they've grown through here. And we've just got a nice array of edible greens, all resprouting with zero work. So that's been pretty awesome. The next steps with this area, right now it's still flowering and it's still beautiful, and during the daytime the insects are still loving it. So we're just gonna leave it. By the time it's lost its color and gets a bit decrepit, we'll come in here with the mulcher. And so yeah, that's the history actually. The very first pass we did spray it out just to allow us to get in. And then we planted with the original Polyculture Paddock mix. We used 3 different mixes, and that all grew, and that was last season. So in autumn last year, we mulched it and sowed a cover crop of triticale and oats, and that became and just grew and sat at about this height through the winter. And in spring it started to boom up, and then we hit it again with the mulcher, and so that just took all that biomass into the soil, and you could hardly tell it was there. And then we drilled straight in with second year's Polyculture Paddock mix, and that's what we've got here. So we're just going to keep doing that. We'll come in, we'll mulch this all, and then we'll drill it next year, perhaps for the last time, with a Polyculture Paddock mix. And as I said, all of this stuff, you know, has just been setting seed as we go up. This is one of the mescalines that were, you know, edible earlier in the season, and now it's a seed head, and you can tell that those have all popped open, and there's a bunch of seeds in here. And so that's what's been happening just naturally. So this soil is completely full of edibles, flowers, herbs, you name it, as well as a bunch of couch grass as well. So we manage that, but without doing too much. You know, this isn't full of grass, this is mostly full of what we've planted, which is pretty cool. And so why I say that it might be our last time is because we really want to plant this out as something of a food for us. You know, get some windbreak and some native species, as this is the predominant wind coming in, and then a few apples and pears, and maybe getting a ground level. So the ground cover will be just what naturally regenerates from our work already, and then we'll be able to get some trees intermingling all around it, and then be able to really focus on our horticulture over in the raised beds. So Yeah, really just wanted to a quick summary of what we've been up to so far in here, and just give an example of how easy it was to create this biodiverse oasis in the center of a township with not too much input, and yeah, the results are pretty stunning. So ciao, and see you next spring when we're going back here with some more action.